To context, Shaykh, there still is an active debate in Malaysia today. Just to bring this to the international audience, there was a bill in Parliament that has been laid down to the MPs, where the appointment of the federal Mufti has been narrowed down to somebody who practices or prescribes exclusively to the theology of Ash'ari and Maturidi. And that was seen, as Sharil said, to be the institutionalizing or bureaucratizing of faith that perhaps challenges that diversity that you mentioned.
I am not equipped to deal with the particularities of the situation here, still less with its political inevitable and quite legitimate political context. I would observe, however, that very often this curating by state authority of particular religious normativities cannot be detached from the perception of Islam in terms of a security risk. Brunei, for instance, I've had the pleasure of visiting several times, has quite severe rules about what is and is not normative Islam. And an increasing number of Muslim countries are adopting the same policy, largely to identify and to squeeze out the conventionally termed Salafistic or Wahhabi perspectives, which are perceived as being the kind of conveyor belt into extremism and fundamentalism. And certainly the discourse has become quite acute in the Middle East, much more than it is here, where in Saudi Arabia, which I visited last month, there is a kind of mass jumping back from the traditional Salafi Wahhabi discourse. The Islamic university curricula are being reconfigured to incorporate more traditional materials. The dichotomizing of society and the world in terms of in and out groups, which often characterize those groups, is being played down. And the reason for this, I suspect, is not that elite figures in that culture have deeply reflected upon the nature of true religion, but that the whole world has alerted them to the fact that in every case, terroristic activity is identified with purveyors of this Salafistic, Wahhabistic fundamentalism. Of course, they're not all terrorists by any means, but there does seem to be a synergy. All of the violent Islamist attacks that we've had in Western Europe recently have been identified with that particular aqidah. So I suspect that that's the deeper reason why there is a narrowing of the episteme, and some often quite harmless fundamentalist groups are finding themselves under pressure because of the association of that particular point of view with political violence and intolerance.
You speak about it from the perspective of security. You've also spoken about some of these schools of thought as promoting what is authentic to be very narrow and uncompromising, making religion difficult. And I remember